bottleneck does is he, oh, I got through. Now, next week I'll do the same thing.
No, there was a network of them. So the sorting were actually spread across roughly 20 different BBS.
Yeah, FidoNet.
Yeah, FidoNet.
The BBSs sometimes late at night would call each other and pass messages. That's really interesting.
So anyway, I had created this thing called Furl a Dance, and so we got male dancers, we got female dancers, and so it started being the cabaret Furl a Dance at Conference. And we started doing this, and we always had charities that it was going towards, and it's mostly continued ever since. A couple of years not, but so that was where that started coming from. And we started a lot of weird traditions at there because in addition to wanting to start our let's start a show. In addition to wanting to start our own convention on our own fandom, we had a few complaints between each other. He'd been going to conventions longer than I had, but even I started to notice. There were a few things about science fiction conventions that irked us, and we thought, if we're going to do our own convention, let's do things differently. So among other things, instead of having a big masquerade that took up all of Saturday night, we thought, why don't we do a masquerade in the middle of the day on Saturday when there's tons of sunlight about, so that afterwards everybody can go out and take pictures of the costumes in broad daylight, and save Saturday night for the cabaret and the dinner and all these other things, just to be different. Worked out fine for a while, but we started getting complaints from our dealers. He said, hey, we can't see the costumes because you're having your costume event while the dealer's room is open. We can't leave our tables to come see the costumes. So we thought, okay, so what do we do? We know. We asked the costumes, hey, after the costume presentation, would you mind marching through the dealer's room, just up and down the aisle, and let them see you? And that turned into the fursuit parade.
Great idea.
Just because we needed something to do with that.
Culture by accident.
Exactly, culture by accident. There's been a lot about these things that are culture by accident.
That's the best way.
Yeah, the first actual in the program book Fursuit Parade was at Method Fermi in Memphis, Tennessee. They ran a convention. They called it a Fermi because they didn't have a formal art show. They had a little tiny dealer's room. It was basically, when you start a convention off, you don't want to burden yourself with complex things like an art show. The art show was the emphasis of Conference through almost all of its years, because back then you didn't have a lot of online art. Almost all the art was either original or limited prints. And you had all these people, these few people doing the art and all these people that wanted to buy it. So it was logical that the art show became the most important thing at the convention. Some of our art shows would have like 400 pieces of art in them, and they $40,000. It was like a huge amount of money. We had art shows that ended up being bigger than science fiction conventions with the same amount of people, because the art was the big thing.
Some of us insist the art still is the big thing.
Over the years, fursuits have become a big thing. Fursuits have become kind of the default ambassadors for fandom. You see a modern fursuit, it's like, well, that's a furry. And some people think that's all that are furries.
Well, I still insist that has a large to do part with when the cameras show off, the fursuiters jump in front of them and do a dance. The artists, the cameras come around, they're like, no! Don't steal my soul, no! So yeah, of course the general public thinks that furry is all about fursuits because they're the only ones who will show up for the camera.
Well, the kids are always going to be more photogenic, to be fair, though.
Oh yeah, they are.
Seeing this giant fox in motion is going to be a lot more exciting than seeing a drawing of a fox, giant or otherwise.
Yeah.
And of course,
folks might have something showing.
with the underground comic thing, and Omaha the Cat Dancer, and the Furl Dance shows, you can see where the attitude that furry is all about sex comes from. Unfortunately, my thing is who cares, but.
Well, there's this unfortunate thing in our Western culture that if anything has anything to do with sex, instantly it has nothing to do with anything except sex. You notice that. It's a sad, sad state of the Western world's brain, which I roll my eyes at. But again, like he said, I don't really mind it that much. It's just like, yeah, pat, go away.
Yeah, but I do find it funny when other fandoms, look down upon us because of the whole sex thing. When, like, Star Trek fandom invented slash fiction.
Yes.
The slash is from Kirk/Spock.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's like anime fandom. They all have.
Well, we noticed that over the years that because of our particular fandom and people who are into our specific thing, again, we've had people walk in. Quick show of hands, who here has been to a non-furry fandom convention? Okay, about half the room, right?
Yeah, that's good.
That's good. But that means about half the room hasn't. There are a lot of fur fans out there who only go to furry cons. And we, over the years, got a lot of complaints. Oh, these weirdos, they're doing this, that, and the other thing. And we're like, yeah, like we do at science fiction conventions.
Yes,
And people will be, and we realized talking to them that they've never been to science fiction conventions.
Yeah.
So a lot of this stuff that's like secondhand to us was like aliens invading to these people. So, right off the bat, we might as well get into it because people are going to think about it. But people started noticing, lo and behold, hey, guess what? There are LGBT people showing up at our furry conventions, and there are certain people whom that created a panic. Because, what are these LGBT people doing at our perfectly heterosexual fandom? They're like, what? But and then they're like, we see, you gay guys invited all of these weirdos in. You wrote them letters all personally and said, hey, come to our convention and make it perverted. And we're like,
I still have my letter from you guys.
Thanks, that's really helpful, Shahir.
Dr. Toaster Oven.
Yeah, we got our toaster oven, exactly. What can we tell you? There are some people who are bound a little too tight, and as far as I'm concerned, they're bound a little too tight for any fandom. And if the natural, let's say it, the natural weirdness of fandom bugs you, hey, I'm sorry, you don't want to come to the party,
Well, to whip this back around to conventions, one of the things we had to deal with, which helps once you're at a hotel for more than 1 year, was there were people who sabotaged the convention any way they could. And the original way is they would try to tell people, they'd call up the hotel anonymously and say, they're selling bootleg videotapes. And we actually had to deal with police who came to the convention to go through the dealer's room looking for people selling bootleg videotapes. Then after that it was, this is a convention for pedophiles. There are people selling, illegal underage art, and photos and movies and such in there, and shut the convention down. And this still happens.
Head of security for conference for the Red Lion.
Oh yeah, well that's the problem there with just plain homophobe.
Yeah.
Basically, for conference 4, we were at the Red Lion Hotel, that was my holy grail. I really wanted a convention there because it was a beautiful hotel, had a lot of rooms, it had a main convention floor and a sub-convention floor. So my dream was, we'll start on the small convention floor, and when we grow, we'll drop down to the big convention floor. It looked like a great venue. Turned out the head of security was total homophobe. And he did everything in his power to get us thrown out of the hotel during the whole weekend.
Wound up getting him more in trouble than us, but...
Yeah, the problem was that he wasn't the only person with authority there. The other people were the people who contracted with the hotel. And eventually they overruled him, got him out of the way, and he lost his job over it. But I I mean, the latest I heard was Anatolia. Lost their hotel over some anonymous tipper calling up.
Conference 10, the anonymous tipper that pretty much got the hotel paranoid about porn because they had a liquor license across the entire facility, and because of the blue laws, you couldn't have porn and
alcohol in the same place. And of course, the thing is, they had already lost their liquor license.
Yes, so they were jumpy.
Because of underage people drinking on the property.
Yeah.
It's a huge property. It's like almost impossible.
It was a resort.
It was a resort, and they have a resort liquor license, which is really hard to get in the United States.
Well, again, that was kind of a holy grail thing, and what the odd thing was is we wanted to be at that hotel, the Town and Country down in San Diego, because there were all these Spanish conventions that were at that hotel. Yeah, and over the year, from the time we signed the contract to the time we had the convention, we found out that all those other conventions were leaving that hotel because they were sucking at that point.
Yeah.
We're like, oh, crap.